All right, ready, Amanda?
Yeah.
All right, thank you for being here today, Amanda. To walk you through some of the questions I'm going to ask and give you a better idea. I'm going to start with some introduction questions where we can get to know your story.
Okay.
I have some fun questions to break up some of the serious questions.
Okay.
I have some questions about AYA in general and what sort of experiences you've had in that setting. And then
Okay.
I also have some questions specific towards you
Yeah,
that
go
I
for it.
think we can all learn from.
Okay.
All right. So Amanda, can you tell us how old you are, what stage of life you're in? What are you doing right now?
So I am currently 37. Oh, getting old. Ah, um, currently, I'm post treatment, 10 years, and I am in the state right now of rebuilding my life because I had cancer for 10 years in my whole 20s, and the things that I should have developed in my 20s, I'm now developing in my 30s, plus dealing with side effects from chemotherapy
Mm,
and just everything in general, trying to do my very best.
Gotcha. And would you say right now, are you happy?
The best I can. The best I can. Are there things we could always change?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be able to help other cancer survivors going through the same path that I have went through, active side, and now post treatment I can empathize and be empathetic to where somebody is present, like me, because it's really hard. It's when treatment ends, it's not the end of the whole cancer journey. It's usually the beginning of a new journey, where you
Yeah.
start to realize your new norm.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being real with me because I ask that question sometimes and people just say yes automatically. So that just shows how reflective of a person you are. So thank you for being honest with me.
Yeah.
Um, Take me through your diagnosis. What do you remember? Like, what was that day like? And then after that day, what was treatment like? And then, yeah, let's just go through the first time.
So the first time, it was the day before Mother's Day. I was currently, at the time, I was in college. I was actually going into my senior year of college, two semesters away from graduating. I was a track athlete. I was in the best tip top shape of my life. And then symptoms started to happen, like the bruising, what I now know as pichia, but like these pink rashes were coming on me. Um, but I could never say I was tired or anything like that. And then eventually I started to get a little tired, but more muscle spasms and bone pain at the time I just thought was just achy pain, but it got really intense.
Hmm.
Um, but all of that got so intense. It was my muscle spasms that really kind of, the bone pain and the muscle spasms that really sent me over the edge, just to kind of shorten the whole thing. And it took me going to three doctors and them all dismissing me and saying I'm young, there's nothing wrong with you, to the point where one doctor thought I was actually seeking drugs.
Hmm.
Um, and then eventually the pain was so great that I ended up, my mom ended up coming to get me from my grandpa's house, minding me the hospital was right next to my internship. But I didn't think about going to the hospital. All I thought was get to my grandpa's house. Got to my grandpa's house. I'm curled up in a ball, and my mom comes to get me and takes me to the hospital. Now I was embarrassed because my grandpa was old, and
Yeah.
I literally was banging on his door, and I pushed him out the way. I was like, "I'm sorry, Grandpa."
Hmm.
And then he called my mom. And that's how I ended up in the hospital. And then I like to use humor, just to ease stuff. So I remember once I had got to the hospital, the nurse had asked me, "What's your pain level?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a 2." And my mom, here, she knows I'm in pain, hits me over the shoulder. Oh, sick. She's like, stop lying. Stop lying to her. And I was like, you know, it's a 20, maybe a 30.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
yeah, it was so bad. So then they gave me some morphine, and I was feeling great after that. Took a little look, I took myself a little nap, and then the ER doctor came in, and that's when things got serious. So my ER doctor, he was a Caucasian man, and he was a young man. He was a young man because I remember looking at his feet and being like, I've never seen a ER doctor with Jordans on. This is fire. This is so cool. And mind, he's
Mhm.
laughing at me right now. But then it took a turn. It went from us laughing, and mind me, I was doped up on morphine too. But it took a turn when he was like, hey, we did some blood work on you. It came back, and I think you have leukemia. And minding me, my mom had left and went to go get her wallet because she all she heard was my grandpa say your daughter is in a lot of pain, and she just rushed over, but she forgot everything. So when she got me to the ER and I was taking a nap, she went back to go get her stuff, and but she wasn't with me when the doctor told me that I had leukemia. And the first instance I had was, I've heard that before. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. But I'm not quite sure what he's trying to tell me because he never said I had cancer. He just said, think you have leukemia. I've heard that before. And then it hit me. Now, some people would have thought I was crazy because I started screaming, oh my gosh, I'm Charlie Brown's friend. I'm Charlie Brown's friend. Guys, I'm Charlie Brown's friend. That's all I kept saying. Okay, so
Oh,
to go back to why I said that was
I
we
know.
in elementary school we had a classmate who was diagnosed with cancer. I don't know what type of cancer she had,
Mhm.
but she was diagnosed with cancer. And so for the teachers and the staff to get us to understand, hey, don't take her hat off, don't make fun of her because she's bald, stuff like that. They showed us an episode of Charlie Brown's friend
Yeah.
getting leukemia and how the friend got bruises and the pink rashes, and she wasn't feeling good. And that's what clicked in my head when I said, oh my gosh, I'm Charlie Brown's friend. So after that, the doctor was like, wait till your mom comes back to tell her the news. What, did you think I waited? No. I called my mom. I'm calm. I'm like, Mom, I need you to come back. Please come back.
Mhm.
So then I hang up, and I think 10 seconds later, I'm screaming at her. And then I hang up.
Mhm.
So I never told her I had leukemia. I think the doctors did. And then when she came in, instantly I'm crying because I'm like, I'm sorry I ruined your Mother's Day. I can't believe this is. And then my next thing was, am I gonna die? So my mom was like, we're not gonna speak like that. We're literally gonna pray. We're gonna leave it to God. Like we're gonna release it to God. And literally we prayed and I let it go. I literally let it go. I let the outcome go to God. And then the next step was, um, I remember the doctor saying if I had waited another week, I wouldn't be here. I would have been dead.
Mhm.
And I did not get an orientation to chemotherapy.
Yep.
My first step was at the time a bone marrow biopsy that I didn't know was bone biopsy. I was just instructed to turn on my belly. And I was like, okay, pull your underwear down just a little bit so we can access your bone. And
Whoa.
I'm like, okay. Mind me, I'm still kind of I got morphine in my system,
Oh,
and
okay,
I'm like,
okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, I don't know why I'm kind of listening to him because I really don't know what's about to happen. And then this man gets on the table and tells me to keep still and drills in my back. And I was like, ah, this. He was like, keep still. We got to do this. And yeah, next thing you know, I feel a pop, 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 pull. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I turn around and he shows me the vial. And I promise you it looked like an alien because it was blood, but there was like black speckles and stuff. And I was like, where did
Um,
that come from? And he was like, that's the leukemia. I said, what? Get And then after that, I went for my port that I didn't know what a port was. Went to
Hmm.
surgery. I had some complications with that. Eventually, I ended up going back to the room and literally with stitches in my chest, they accessed my port. Ow! And that was my introduction to chemotherapy. And then from that, I got chemotherapy through my port, but I also had to have a spinal tap, and they pressed chemotherapy through my spine to protect my spinal cord fluid from getting leukemia and stuff in my brain, protecting all of that so that leukemia wouldn't have gotten into that area.
Yeah. And then, how many rounds of chemo did you go through? What was your treatment like?
It was very intense. Not gonna lie. Even when, they said I would go through an intense phase and then a maintenance phase, the maintenance phase felt just as bad as the initial intense of phase. Like I couldn't tell the difference. I felt like the maintenance was worse than the intense of like the introduction. I don't know how many cycles I went through because I literally went through 10 years of chemotherapy inpatient. There was not really a time that I was able to do it outpatient. I mean, they tried it a couple of times, but the side effects, I was having so bad side effects that a lot of my treatment was inpatient. So before that, I thought everyone did inpatient chemo. And then when I finally heard someone say, "Oh no, I do my chemo outpatient," I said, "Wait a minute,"
Hmm.
because my thing was every 2 weeks get chemotherapy inpatient, and maybe I would have one day if I wasn't having side effects. So that was just kind of my life for 10 years.
Yeah, my treatment was all inpatient too. And I was my leukemia, they also found when I was finally diagnosed, 84% of my blood was leukemia. So I wonder if it's because like you, one more week and that would have been it, right? So I wonder if
Hmm.
like because it had progressed so much, we had more aggressive treatments or had to stay inpatient because of the side effects. Um, and then after you are done with treatment, you said that, and maybe I'm not remembering this correctly, but then you got a second diagnosis afterwards, and then you did a transplant.
Yes. So the first 5 years, I was doing, chemotherapy. I was diagnosed with all leukemia with a positive Philadelphia chromosome, which made me very high risk because usually you get it as a young child or older adult, but never in the adolescent, young adult community. So it definitely made me high risk, but I did it for 5 years, and I got to ring the bell, and I started getting back on my feet. I actually started getting back on the track and back in the gym. It took me a while, but I was able to rebuild myself. I mean, my abs were coming back, and I was actually running on the track, and I fell. And now I don't normally fall at practice. I tripped over my feet, which I thought was weird.
Hmm.
But after that, I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good. Symptoms I was having previously from the first diagnosis, I started to recognize. The bone pain was starting again, except the first time it was in my shoulders. This time it was in my hips to the point where I couldn't move. Like I'm army crawling up my stairs to try to get some leftover pain medicine I had from my previous diagnosis. So I tried to go get the oxycodone. I finally army crawled up my stairs to get the oxycodone. I take it, nothing happens. That's when I was like, oh no, this isn't good. And my phone was downstairs. So I didn't have the strength to go back downstairs because my hips were killing me. And that's when I redid chemotherapy, like, and it was in May. So first diagnosis was in May. It was May 10th. No, sorry, May 8th, um, 2010. And then I relapsed May 10th, yes, 2015. So this is like what, a couple days before my 5 year anniversary. And you know what they say in the hospital: 5 years, you're free, Ned, no evidence of disease, you're all good. And that was not my case.
Yeah, I remember.
And then that's when I went for bone marrow transplant as well. Because first time it was on the table, but I did so well on chemo. They took it off the table. This time it was no negotiation. It was you had to go to transplant.
Well, thank you for sharing, Amanda. I'm glad you're here today with me here talking about this.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get into the Amanda Panda specific questions. All
Go
right.
for it. Yeah.
You went through so much trauma, not just through cancer, but throughout life. And yet today, you said you're coming back. You're being an advocate for us, people like me,
Mhm.
to help other us out, future patients out. Why come back in such a field where that gave you so much hardship and pain, um, and come back to help other people out?
I use my pain for purpose. I couldn't imagine going through all of this and then go live my life like nothing happened, knowing that there are other people going through the exact same path that I've come through, and knowing that when I was going through that trial and tribulations of my own life, that really didn't have any guidance. I didn't know what it looked like on the other side of treatment. What would you look like? What could you look like? What was the quality of life after treatment, the side effects from chemo, all that stuff. And then just knowing what I know, I didn't want someone to have to guess and go through trying to figure something out on their own as to what they should do and what they should look for and stuff like that. I just couldn't see. Sorry, this is little man. I couldn't see me just going back to normal life, knowing that there's someone else in that same predicament that I've been in, when I could tell them something that could dramatically change their treatment, give them choices. Because you kind of lose control and you give it up to the doctors. But knowing that you still have options and you still have choices and you can still advocate for yourself even going through what you're going through. I wanted other patients to know that so they're not caught up in the healthcare system thinking they don't have any choices. So I became that need I needed when I was in active treatment.
Thank you for doing that. Um,
Mhm.
Now, as an advocate, let's say that you know you had experiences where you knew something was wrong, and some providers might have said no or dismissed you, like you said. And it turned out that you were right. And
Mhm.
sometimes, as patients, maybe not even limited to cancer, but as patients in general, can feel intimidating to speak to a doctor because it might feel like the appointment's being rushed or like they know more than you, or maybe they don't like you, um, or like, I don't know, sometimes like what you're saying, being dismissed. So,
Mhm.
um, as a patient, how can you advocate for yourself to make sure that you get the right care, and you have the courage to say what you really feel in front of a provider?
Um, it is good to write your questions down, but I would go as far as to tell patients, remember these providers are still human like you. They still bleed like you do. They still have to provide for their families. And because they have an expertise in this field, you have an expertise in your own field of what you do. So think of it like that. But also don't be scared if if you get dismissed as a patient, right? And I say that because there are times you're going to have to advocate for yourself, and sometimes the providers, instead of just saying, hey, I don't know something, sometimes it could come off as if you're challenging a physician on what they've learned or their expertise when you're really trying to just get down to the bottom of what's going on with you. I would say take the emotions out of it. And I know that's hard because sometimes you want to like raw, like you're not understanding me. But you've got to kind of like, but bulletin points. I've got bleeding nose. I've got bruising. I've taken this medication and it's not working. So you kind of have to get like that format to advocate for yourself. And then like I said, sometimes they still will dismiss you as their patient, and it's okay to get a second, third, or fourth opinion. I did. So just know that don't be scared if someone says no. I've got a ton of no's, but I've also got that one person who took me serious and really looked into stuff that was going on with me. So just mentally prepare for those no's or being dismissed as a patient. Self advocating is hard. Like you're already dealing with a lot, your body kind of fighting against you, insurance fighting against you. Now you've got physicians fighting against you. So you just got to be real strong in your mind. And even if you get a little tired, take a break for a second, not too long because time is of the essence, but try your best and just really don't be afraid of denial. What's the worst they can say? No. Then go to the next physician.
Yeah. I agree with that, and I realized how important like advocacy is for yourself because I was diagnosed after high school, and I went through treatment, and then I went to college, and my primary oncologist, Dr. Richards, she was all like she was sending me off to college, and she was also moving to a different institution, so that was gonna be like one of the last times that I was gonna see her, and she'd been with me throughout diagnosis too, so you know, I was really appreciative of her. And I asked her, "Do you have any advice for college?" I mean, she told me, really advocate for yourself. Like, no one else will do it for you. So,
Mhm.
really advocate for yourself. And I found that advice to be really helpful, like, in terms of like the activities I did and also like getting accommodations for college. Um, and transitioning care. That didn't go so well for me, but I kept
Me
advocating
either.
for what I thought was right. So yeah.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. It seems like faith has been a big part of your experience and your journey. And whenever I talk to other survivors about religion or faith or, some supernatural being, it seems like it's kind of split. And one side thinks that, wait a second, I don't know if I want to believe in a supernatural force that would create a world where there's so much suffering. And then
Mhm.
another side is going to say that, but the supernatural force or God or whoever they believe in is what got me through the suffering. And so I just want to kind of listen to your perspective on that. Is how do you approach faith? And then even after going through so much unfairness in life, uh, how has that changed or made it stronger for you?
Um, yes, a big part of me getting through this is by the grace of God because I wouldn't have made it. Um, but I chose worship in the midst of not knowing things, not understanding things. I chose because it. I feel like you can choose God or you can look at your circumstances and choose your circumstances and try to figure out your own path. But I know for me, I feel like God is bigger than anything, bigger than any name, bigger than anything. So when I think of God and I think of cancer, take it to God. Like I literally went to the feet of God and I prayed on my hands and knees for guidance, for for cleaning my blood, replacing my blood with his blood because I know your blood is the purest blood. But keeping my faith and trust in him and keeping my eyes on God because there was so much going on, so many side effects, a lot of stuff that could have killed me. Like, I saw death too many times. But I'll also read the word and I would look at it and it would say stuff like, uh, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. It didn't say that the weapon wouldn't form. but it said it wouldn't prosper. Or when I am weak, he is strong. Or he's close to the brokenhearted. And uh, he strengthens us. Um, on eagle's wings, and we could there's a Bible verse. I can't remember. I have to paraphrase it because I can't remember exactly what verse it is, but that we could take poison and it wouldn't harm us. It's a verse. And when I saw that, I was like, yo, with this chemotherapy, this is poison I'm taking, but
Hmm.
it wouldn't harm me. And I read the word and know that every promise that's in there, it's never come back false. And everything that I'm going through, God already went through. So there's nothing that I'm coming to God with that he hasn't already experienced himself. And so I'm like, you already know how I'm feeling. So I'm keeping my eyes on you. And regardless if I'm healed on earth or if I'm healed in heaven. Either way, I'm still healed. Is it scary? Heck yeah, I'm young. I can't believe this is happening to me. But I really chose God. I was like, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, I release the outcome to God. And now I find myself in another season post transplant. I'm figuring out how to run a household, never lived on my own, not even in a dorm, because my parents were my caregiver for 10 years and then roles switched. And now I'm the caregiver. My mom had a brain aneurysm, literally dropped to the floor. And my dad was diabetic and then ended up having pancreatic cancer. And now I'm taking care of him. So the roles have reversed. And then my dad passed away. And now I'm just caring for a house that I didn't even know what an escrow account was. Um, I'm taking care of bills. I'm now working three jobs in one day to make ends meet because I'm the sole provider now. Um, I had to grow up real fast. It was like adulthood on fire. And even in the midst of not even knowing how I was going to provide or how I was going to be able to do stuff. I just made up in my mind. You know what, God, whatever happens, I'm doing the best that I can. And as long as you see my heart and you see that I'm trying, he'll do the rest. And it's always been like that. With there are times that I may have not been able to pay my mortgage on time, but it got paid that month. And by the grace of God, I don't know how, but it did. And I'm like, God has never failed me. It just didn't come the way I thought it would come. And even if I didn't make the mortgage this month, it got paid the next month. Or there was a way, as long as I did my part, I just released the rest to God. I'm gonna do my part because faith without works is dead. And you can't do anything without faith. So I just do the best I can.
Yeah. Thank you for explaining that to me because I'm over here with a different perspective, but I definitely appreciate yours, and what you've been through. So I'm just trying to learn from you, you know? But thank you. So I have one more serious question for you, and then we'll
Go for
transition
it.
into some fun ones. And this one's kind of related to the previous one, which is, do you think that everything happens for a reason?
Yes, I do. I, mm, yes, I do. And it's hard because there are things that happen like unexpected deaths, um, stuff going on with your body, but everything is a lesson, whether it's through trial and tribulations, happiness, managing money. You can learn something from anything. Um, I'm not gonna say it's easy because where I'm at right now, it's not easy. Like I'm I didn't see myself in the situation that I'm in now, like downsizing my household, and I thought I'd live in this house forever, and here I am making hard decisions about selling my dad's home that I never thought would happen. But it's a lot of dynamics of, facing with family, taking care of my mom and getting her on board because she didn't think she was going to move. um, getting everything organized, my finances, trying to go back to school. And I've got all of this packed up on me. And there are days where I think I want to lose my mind. And there are days that I do lose my mind, but then I pray and I bring it back, or I really just talk to God like, God, I don't know what's going on. I'd be like, sometimes I'd be cussing up a storm. I'd be like, God, forgive me. You see my heart. I'm trying, but this is how I'm feeling. And I just want to be real transparent with you. I don't want to give you no beautiful prayers. I'm going to be very transparent, like I'm speaking to you. Um, but yeah, like trials and tribulations, you learn from anything, even in a relationship, if it's bad or good. Like I've had bad relationships where I learned, you know what, I don't want to be treated like that. And then I've learned from other relationships where they were good, the person was good, maybe we weren't a match, but I could walk away knowing I taught him something, he taught me something. And then next time you find another person and it could be a beautiful match, but everything's a lesson. Like you, and do you have disappointments? Of course, but you can't stay there. Like it, it's so easy to give up. Just keep going, learn from your lessons. Try not to beat yourself up because I'm really good at that. I'm really good at that because I find myself holding myself to a higher standard because I feel like my life was on pause for 10 years. And when I talk to people my age group who haven't been through anything I've been through, they expect me to know certain things that I may not even know. And there's times where I'd be like, dang, I should know that, but I don't. I wish I did. And then it goes to you kind of go into a I don't know if you have, but you kind of go in a rabbit hole like, what about fertility? Would I've had kids? Would I've been married? Could my career path be really advanced right now? I'm working on pennies, barely making it paycheck to paycheck, and I'm just trying, and I just don't understand why this is happening. But something always rises within me, like uh, he is greater than I am, and there's always something that pulls me back to just do the best that you can. And it's by his grace that I've made it this far. Like there's stuff that should have taken me out. I mean, family dynamics and everything should have taken me out. But by the grace of God, I've been able to do it. But now I'm learning to unlearn certain things that I've done, like the hyper independence. Um, it is a downfall of mine because I didn't have the support. Once my dad passed away, I didn't have that support anymore. It was just me, myself, and I to figure out what to do. So now I'm trying to learn to ask for help and not be so hyper independent. But it's kind of hard when you're so used to being let down and disappointed that is kind of your default. And so like I had to catch myself because there was just a moment where I was disappointed that certain people wouldn't stay with me even though I'm emotionally going through a hard time and I've expressed that, and yet you still got upset and did your own thing, and here I am left to pick up the pieces on my own to figure things out. It's just, yeah, it's learning, unlearning things and trying to learn new things, and it's hard, I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy. Like after cancer, it really pushes you into a independent mind because it can be very isolating, very isolating. People you thought would be there are not there. They disappear, and you're really left with you yourself, and you question who's going to be there for me. Even though you have supportive people like your parents and stuff around you, at the end of the day, if they pass away, who's going to be there for you?
And I think that ties back to the self-advocacy part, right? Like, who's gonna advocate for you? No one except yourself, like you're saying. And I've also had people, like even in survivorship too, not just during treatment, that I'm like, hey, I really gotta walk to the pharmacy to pick up some meds after a blood draw. Can you help me walk there? It's like a 3-minute walk, and they don't show up. I'm like, "Damn,"
Hmm.
like, I thought we were tight. Um, but
I've
yeah, I get
had
it.
that before.
Mhm.
Hmm. I've had a family member take me to a store to pick up some medicine after treatment and then just get upset and leave and make me walk home.
Yeah.
That's unhurt.
All right, let's move on to something a little more fun.
Okay.
But I appreciate you as always. Okay.
So do I.
Um, Amanda, what was your favorite event in track and field?
Oh, I love the high jump and
Okay.
I love the 200. Okay. And I had this hate relationship with the 400. I loved it because it gave me a challenge. And it's like, I feel like it's one of the hardest races because you got to do this whole circle and it's just strategic and you got to be strategic about how you place it, how you move. But it always made me nervous. It always made me nervous.
All right. Well, if you told us this events, you gotta give us your PRs too. Your
Uh,
200 time, 400 time.
So my 200 time was a 26, 25 second. And
Wow.
then my 400, I'm trying to remember what was like 56, 57, something around there. So I was smoking, I was moving, but like that was some hard stuff. But I like this is gonna sound funny, but I like the pain. It challenges me. I don't know why. I
Mm,
like the pain. People be like, I don't like the pain. I'd be like, I don't know why, but it makes me push even harder. Even though
mm,
I want to quit. In my mind, I'm like, quit. And I'm like, nah. I don't like when people tell me no, because I gotta show you that I can do it. I gotta prove you wrong. You tell me no. And I'm like, nah. All right, I'm about to show you. Mark my words. It's only crazy until it happens. And then you're like, whoa, it's not crazy anymore. She did it.
She did it. You did it. And
Mhm,
that's an interesting point about pain. I feel like because if maybe you're bringing on that point, or if you have some control in that decision, like okay, I'm gonna challenge myself. I know it's gonna bring pain. I feel like we're okay with that a little more compared to during treatment. If it's not our decision and we're just facing pain without getting anything really from it. So
mhm,
that's really interesting. I never thought of pain in like a good type of way too.
mhm.
Okay, have you ever used the cancer card?
I have not. I'm going to be honest. I have not. I didn't even know that was a thing until one day a nurse gave me a card
Yeah.
and it said, because I have cancer. I said, that worked? That really works? I never tried it. I just thought the card was really cool, so I kept it. But
Mhm,
I never did because I didn't know that was a thing. I think the only thing I can say is in the beginning when I lost my hair, I didn't really care about me losing my hair,
mhm,
but I used to wear wigs. I had one wig. I still have this wig, and I don't even know why. I need to throw it away because I'll never use it. But I had this one wig. I really liked it. It was. I know you're a guy, so you wouldn't really know, but it was a lace front, and it looked so real. But that's. I mean, almost cursed. I mean, that thing was I live in Orlando, Florida. It's freaking hot. Humidity. Oh. So I remember one time I was at a grocery store and I told my mom, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really hot. Like, I don't want to wear this thing anymore. And my mom was like, well, then take it off. And I was like, right here? Like, right here? She was
mhm.
like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And I was like, and then this guy saw me. He was like, I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm bald. Don't worry about it. And I walked away. That was really my only, I guess, my only cancer card, but that's it.
All right, there you go. Yeah. Do you have any favorite cancer jokes?
No, not really. I mean, I guess the only thing I can say is what's the most expensive haircut in cancer? Like, a
Yeah.
cancer cut. Because once you get that baldness, like that chemo rip your hair out, that's the most expensive haircut you can ever get.
Yeah. Would you like to hear a cancer joke?
Yes, tell me one.
Okay, this one I made specifically for you because
I like it.
I know what, your meal situation is like. Okay.
Okay.
What what spice do cancer survivors like Amanda hate?
Look, there could be plenty. Salt and pepper. Obey. I don't know which one.
Turmeric.
Oh my! I like that one. I didn't think I like that one. Oh yeah, I don't like no turmeric, but I get it.
There's a second part to that too, which is what spice do cancer survivors like Amanda appreciate?
mm. Um, oh man, you said turmeric. I'm over here like, what could it be? Paprika? Am I close?
Time.
Oh, dang! I should have known. That's a good one. I like that one.
All right. Now let's move on to some AYA questions.
Okay.
Okay. For context for our viewers, I'm over here in California. Amanda's all the way over in Florida. And so
East side.
we've been treated in two different hospital systems, two different states. So I think this is going to be very interesting to see how our treatments were, because the same sort of diagnosis, different hospitals within the same state will give you different
Mm.
treatment plans too, or can give you treatment plans. So I want to ask, what's the AYA program like at your institution? Um, do you have AYA resources? Do you have like a point of continuity between like inpatient all the way to survivorship? Do you see the same care team? What's AYA like over in Florida?
So we do have an AYA program. When I was in active treatment, it was not as strong as it is today. Like the leadership kept changing and it kept falling off. So I was out there on my own. Like I didn't have that support until after I was done with active treatment. Like after I got better, then the program really took off and it stayed stable.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, we do have a great support come with everything that we're going through, even post treatment. Downside is my facility is very strict on the AYA policy, which is a AYA 18 to 39. And once you're 39, you get the boot, which I don't necessarily agree with because I feel like once you're an AYA, you will always be an AYA, whether you're 39, 40, because you got this diagnosis when you were adolescent and it will carry on for the rest of your life.
Wow.
Um it really does. It carries on for the rest of your life. And so some people are really sad about that because they can't participate in the AYA stuff anymore. We're trying to figure out how we can do like a next level AYA for support, but it's not really taking off too well because like it's kind of of a rejection. Like here you are trying to get involved with other people who understand what you're going through and how it is, and then you're gonna get that you gotta go because you're past the age. I mean, I'm 2 years away from it, so I could understand where they're coming from. I mean, we've had graduations, but they didn't they I don't know if they were that supportive because it was just like we have a party for you, but it still was a bit sad because you're like, I'm used to this person being at the event all the time, and now they don't come anymore because they aged out. But I also recognize that we have a lot of AYA that like to come to the functions, but they don't like to really stay to help develop the program. Like they're in and out, which scares me because if we don't have certain AYAs to come consistently and help out with AYA, then the program fizzles out. So it bothers me because a lot of those patients that are aging out were the foundation of why the program stands today. And so we don't have anybody kind of taking over those positions to keep paying it forward. So it's now trickling down to AYAs that want to come get the support. Maybe they're not ready or they don't want to face what they went through because it was traumatic, which I understand. But if we don't keep people in place to keep trickling it down, then we're building stuff back from scratch again. So I really encourage AYA patients to not disappear.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you said about having people in place. Like our program is lucky we've had a nurse practitioner. Her name's Pam. She has kept in place for us our built the AY program around more than a decade, and she stayed there for
Mhm,
over a decade. Because, like in college, what I saw was that at the partner institution, because I can't name the names, but the partner institution their AYA program was slowly building up, and then boom, they leave, and then boom, you're back
mhm,
down. And I come in, I'm like, I'm trying to build something up, and they're like, that person just left. We don't have anything anymore. And I was like, that's like, dang, like you really gotta have people who stay there long term in order to
mhm,
really make it grow, like you're saying.
mhm.
What's something that you wish you had during treatment as an AYA, which you didn't get?
I would have seen someone my age come through and show me what it looks like on the other end of treatment and how life would be, and just give me the in and out of what to expect versus me figuring it out figuring it out on my own. I literally call this phase cancer Jumanji, because it's like you roll the dice, you look into the little circle, and it could say stampede, or it could say you're about to have a severe allergy, or you've developed something from graft versus host, and now you've got to deal with these side effects or the infertility. So, and a lot of the symptoms that are happening, I notice with all AYA, is that these symptoms are starting to happen, but they're not textbook medical teaching. These things are happening, and um, I wish we would build better listening skills for the healthcare um, system, because a lot of these things are not textbook medical training. The weirdest things is happening, and it sometimes unfortunately gets dismissed until the person's in ICU fighting for their life.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also like talking to a survivor doing treatment is just knowing that it's possible is huge. It's huge.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so what are some problems you've seen in AYA care that you feel like can be prevented?
Um, there's a lot. It's the healthcare system, but it's also on our parts too, because we tend to disappear because it's so traumatic. Um, but I wish that one, we had a protocol, because once we finish with our oncologists, they like to push us to primary care PCP. PCP doesn't really know how to take care of us, and they don't have a protocol to take care of us. So they treat you like the typical person who's coming to get um, the annual checkup. But there are things as a young cancer survivor we need to look out for, because now we're dealing with the toxicity of chemotherapy, secondary cancers, third dairy cancers. You could go into heart failure because some of these treatments. You can go into liver failure. There is some severe um, side effects from chemo, and then there's some mild and some in between. But it could be easily disguised as, oh, I'm having breathing problems, which could be graft versus host disease. But you tell me I have pneumonia, when really that's not the case. Or with graft versus host disease, it can happen anywhere because it's not our own bone marrow cells, it's our donors. I know for me, like I used to be B positive and now I'm O positive because of my donor. So my blood type changed.
Mhm.
But that's one thing to recognize. Um, Stuff like your skin tightening up. um, I wish there was just protocols for a lot of that stuff. And then, like I said, listening skills for, hey, I don't feel good. I don't know if it's graft versus host or what. Maybe I know they do the CBC, but maybe go a little further with the blood work just to keep on track with a lot of this stuff. Because I remember my oncologist telling me you're going to age faster than the average young person, and that it didn't hit me. I was like, "What are you talking about? Look at me. I'm sorry. What you talking about?" I mean, I did have the Superman syndrome, Superwoman syndrome, until I realized once cancer got a hold of me that I wasn't Superwoman. Um, but he never did explain that until I realized, yo, words are powerful. I try not to, but I do feel like an old person in a young person's body. Like my knees be hurting me, my stomach. I be going to bed early. I take medicine for the rest of my life. Like infertility. That's typical stuff. So I really wish that we had better protocol systems in place just to catch a lot of these things we're going through, especially mentally, emotionally. You feel lost in the world, even though you're not, because there's other people like us, but you still feel isolated because, like, you try to explain these things to people, and the first thing a lot of them like to say is, "How long have you been out of treatment? You should be over that by now. Why are you still tired? Why are you still fatigued? Just because I look great doesn't mean I still don't feel the symptoms from that chemotherapy." And until they go through it themselves, which I don't wish that on anybody, that's the only way they'll really understand. Unless somebody really wants to take the time to listen to exactly what we're saying and be empathetic about it. I also wish that there was a building where it was a one stop shop where we could get checkups and we could get mental help and financial help. And I know it will come. I don't know if I'll be around to see it. And when I say that, I mean I'm big in advocating for AYA and getting the needs done. But I'm only one person, um, so I know that I will do my best to start everything, but this is past my generation. This is generations to come. So I'll definitely, this will outlast me, but I will do my part. Like I say, I want to die empty. Like the graveyard is full of dreams and aspirations that never happened, and I want to die empty.
Gotcha. Yeah. I can definitely relate to that over here in California too. Like, how different care specialties and systems are disconnected. So like you're just thrown out of the oncology floor and you're like, okay, well, if something comes up, who do I go to? My PCP, my oncologist, adult side or pediatric side?
Mhm.
Like specialty care, but should it be a specialty person who has experience with cancer survivors or just like someone
Mhm.
regular? And you have to kind of figure it out by yourself. And then in terms of fertility, like if we want to like preserve our fertility or store it or something like that, insurance doesn't even cover that. So it's like, how
Mm-mm.
do I pay $400 every year or like however many thousands of dollars rest of your life? So yeah,
Mm.
definitely can relate to that. All right.
Or or I was gonna say also to add on to that, sometimes you have to take mammograms before 40. And now you gotta fight with insurance because statistically you're not at the age to get mammograms, but they don't know your history of cancer.
Yeah.
You gotta fight for that too.
hmm And then sometimes you go to your PCP and then they're like, go to your oncologist. Your oncologist says,
Mhm.
nope, go to your PCP or in survivorship. And so you're like, what the heck? Okay, we got like, let me check. We got 2 minutes, but are you okay staying on for another like 5, 10?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, because I got some fun questions that I wanted to get in. All right, so we're kind of gonna go rapid fire round, okay?
I
And
like it. Let's do this.
I have AYA rapid fire that I'm going to give you a prompt and then I'm going to give you some sort of like questions that you choose from or tell me your answers to. And then I'll tell you when
Mhm.
we're done. And then after I got like rapid fire questions, 10 of them that aren't AYA specific, they're just like oncology related. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
All right.
I'm scared.
No, they're fun. They're like fun. Don't worry about it. Okay.
I'm open, I'm transparent.
Let's say that in your hospital system, you got a chance to design an AYA room or an AYA floor in your hospital. And I'm going to ask you how you would choose to design Okay. So first of
Okay.
all, let's talk about colors. Would you rather choose bright, vibrant colors or muted, like pastel colors?
Right. Right.
All right, cool, cool. Yep. Okay, and then would you have a AYA room within the oncology floor or a separate AYA oncology floor itself?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Because if I do it separate, they may not ever hear it unless it was word of mouth. Or if I did it on the oncology floor, then I'm gonna do it on the oncology floor because if I see it while I'm going through active treatment and I'm gonna be like, oh, what is that? Let me know. Let me know. Especially if it's a hideout and I can get away from these nurses and doctors who keep poking and prodding at me. Well, I'll go that route.
Awesome, yeah. And then you had mentioned in your hospital system, AYA is 18 to 39. Over here
Mhm.
in California, it's generally 15 to 39. But no matter the
Oh,
guidelines, what age range would you make it AYA be? What age range?
I am gonna push it a little further.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna go as far as we can start at 15, 15 to 45. And I say that because 39, I did cancer all in my 20s. So
Hmm.
that's that's 9 years of being in AYA system and then I'm out on my own. So I'm gonna push it to 45 at least.
Okay, cool. And then let's say you have that space in your oncology floor for AYA. What are some things that you
Mhm.
would include in there?
I'm going music,
Hmm.
like relaxation music or whatever type of music, like whatever genre you want to be able to pick in a corner. I'm going arts and craft, whether we're building, we're coloring. I'm gonna do video games,
Okay.
snacks. I really want to turn it into a place to be able to sneak away, like a treehouse with a one-stop shop, all where you can be yourself. If you want to scream, if you want to relax, if you don't want to talk to nobody, I want it to be a place where people can run away, disappear for a second to catch their breath, their mind, and be able to meet other people in the same situation without doctors and other people coming in to disrupt that one peaceful place you can have for at least a couple seconds or a minute or two or yeah.
Gotcha. And then last AYA rapid fire question. I
Mhm.
get these aren't that rapid fire, but still, like, what's
Like it.
something that you've seen in these AYA spaces that you feel like doesn't help?
Um,
Is there anything? If there is, I guess.
I'm gonna challenge survivalship. It is great that we have survivalship, but I don't find it useful.
Mm,
And I say that because for us in our facility, our survivalship refers us outside the facility to other providers who just get to look at us and read our file. But we are not with our facility that we were with during treatment, during bone marrow transplants. And then you refer us out to these doctors that really don't know how to take care of us, but they do their very best. And I feel very uncomfortable with that because now I'm having to self advocate for things that I need, but I'm also having to kind of fight with you about what I need, and you're telling me what I need. And then I also have to juggle out who's more important to go see because I can't afford to go to all of these doctor's appointments that I should go to, but one could cost me 3,000 while the other one cost me 10. Or another one could cost me $100 and going to all these providers that you are referring me out to, where's the money going to come from? I know all of the providers that you referred me to is important, but realistically, I can't afford all of these providers that you keep sending me to with no resources or finances. Acute, treatment, the healthcare system is very great at taking care of that. Post treatment, I don't see a lot of grants for post treatment funds. You have to be inpatient or active treatment to get these funds. And it leaves us trying to figure out how we're going to survive. Hence, me working 3 jobs, killing myself to get a better career advancement and all this stuff. But I'm taking care of treatment, post treatment costs, trying to go back to school, how I'm going to find the money for that. Um, Medicines that I have to pay for. One of them is $150 every month. That's a bill. Plus my own mortgage and bills I have to take care of and help my mom, and I've got dogs, and it's a lot. So survivalship. I challenge survivalship because we could do a better job. It's going to take a team, but it would be nice to have more grants for patients that are post treatment who still need help.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Okay. Thank you for that answer. And I definitely
Yeah.
agree with you there. I feel like continuity is something I really value. Like staying with the same provider, someone who already knows you. And when you're transitioning your care out to different people, that's so hard to deal with when,
Mhm.
they don't know how you work anymore or like how you are as a patient. They might see it like I ask a lot of questions because I cope by understanding. Understanding helps me feel more in control. And then some
Mhm.
doctors would see that as like challenges to like, whoa, you're challenging me. I went through 4 years of medical school, this many years
No.
of residence. It's like, no, bro, it's in my body. I just want to know.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I definitely can relate with you there. And then with the financial costs and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, that's an entire system of America that I don't know how to fight, but like you said, we just do our part and hope that something happens, change happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Rapid fire questions, really rapid fire. I'm gonna give you basically two options. You can interpret them however way you want, but I need to answer quick, okay?
Okay. I'm not
Uh,
good at
we,
that, but I'm gonna do my best.
we got 10 of them. We got 10 of them.
Let's do this.
Ready, Amanda?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, number one, chemotherapy or radiation?
Chemotherapy.
Pediatric or adult side?
Pediatric.
Ativan or Zofran?
Ativan.
Roller coasters or watch a movie at home?
Say it one more time.
Would you rather take roller coasters or watch a movie at home?
Watch a movie at home.
Would you rather be followed up by your PCP or oncologist for the rest of your life?
Oncologist.
Inpatient or outpatient?
Outpatient.
Standard care or clinical trial?
Clinical trial because I use my pain for a purpose, and if something happens to me, at least I tried to help somebody out in the future.
Wow. Email or text?
Oh, text.
Zoom or in person?
In person.
Yeah, me too. Life pre-cancer or post-cancer?
Oh, post cancer because I learned a lot from the trials and tribulations, even though it's still
Dang.
hard.
Dang. I feel like that was the most important one. That's so cool. I think that shows your
Mhm.
growth. The last one there, I don't think there's a right answer, but it kind of shows what stage of life you are in. Not that I should imply that pre-cancer, if you were to choose that, that would mean anything less. But that's always interesting to me because some days I feel like I'll go one answer, some other days I go the other answer, you know? Hmm.
Me too. But I've learned a lot. If what I know now I can bring back to my younger person, well, I'll be set. Mhm. Wisdom is key. It's growth. It could be growing pains, but you get some wisdom. Mhm, mhm.
All right, Amanda. Thank you for sitting through out this interview. One
You're
final
welcome.
question. If the entire world was watching right now, um, and you could say something, what message would you want to leave to the world?
Realize what's important. We were surrounded by beauty, fame, and all this other stuff. But there's a lot of people losing their lives even with all that stuff. And so I would tap into purpose. Even if you don't know what your purpose is yet, go with what you love and what you would do. And um really take that on and make it your own and craft it and keep learning and become an expertise in that. I mean, a lot of people are talented at many things, but pick one and take off with it and really use it to propel you. Usually your purpose involves helping other people grow, not just yourself. Passing it down to other generations to use as a tool, something you leave behind, because I believe when you are born to solve a problem, an issue. And so start, whether you solve that problem or that issue, or you at least start it and it carries on to another generation, you have done some kind of purpose to help others. Um, yeah, like money is nothing if you're sick. Like your health is your wealth. And so I encourage people to go for purpose, because once we pass away, we don't take anything. And I've never heard someone say on their deathbed, "Where's my money?" They're more like, "Where's the loved ones around me to be with me in this vulnerable state of what's going on?"
Wow. Well, thank you for coming on, Amanda.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate being here. I'm an open book. I'm transparent. So, if you guys want to reach out to me, I don't mind. I use my embarrassment, pain for a purpose, whatever you need. I'm here.
All right.